Hey, my name is Stephen, and you're listening to episode 2 of the DIY Musician Guide podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to Peter Fell, a Liverpool-based musician in the band Tone Puppets. Peter's a really good mate of mine who started doing all this pretty much the same time I did, so listen to us reminisce about the good old days and talk about the perfect cup of tea. Yesterday, I looked up how to make up the perfect cup of tea. Now, how would you make your perfect cup of tea?
Boil kettle.
Done.
Yeah, game over. No, I think it's definitely not milk first. I don't let me tea bag soak in milk first. It's tea bag, hot water, couple of minutes. A little semi strain when I take the tea bag out.
Semi strain? Wow, it's quite weak.
Just a little strain. Yeah, I don't squeeze the hell out
Do
of it.
you leave it to brew for a while? Or
Yeah.
anything? Oh, yeah,
About
okay.
2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, 2 or 3 minutes, that's fine.
Little stir. In fact, I don't squeeze. I kind of pick it up, scald my fingers a little bit and dunk it a little bit.
I remember when we were in work one time, and everyone used to get in a big conversation in the kitchen. And I remember us talking as I do, just going off from one. And I took the tea bag out, and while I was talking to people, I just said to the person next to me, "I'll just hold this a minute," and went into the conversation, and he held it. Because you get wrapped up. And to this day, I laugh about it. I'm not going to say, but I feel mean. He's like, it happens. But anyway, I was saying this because I was reading up about how to make the perfect cup of tea the other day, and I wondered why there was this issue about putting your milk in first or last. And because I put my milk in first, because I know how much milk I need, so I do it, and I'm not bothered about the tea bag being with the milk. They're gonna meet. It's inevitable, right? So basically, working class people used to put milk in tea first because their cutlery couldn't handle hot water. It'd crack when you put the hot water in. So they used to put milk in first to kind of soften the blow. So you'd be able to tell who was working class and who was upper class basically by their crockery. Their best china wouldn't crack.
It makes sense.
So now I've got a bit of a chip on my shoulder going, well, I'm a working class hero with my milk in first. So
class test.
Yeah, it's definitely. You know how John Lennon used to have his tea. Definitely. It's probably like the other verse of that song, which didn't make it. As soon as you're born, you put your milk in first. But anyway, I also found out that if you put your milk in first, it makes the tea creamier, which I like. I like a creamy tea. And I
kind of judge mine on colour when I'm pouring the milk.
Yeah, He-Man. It's supposed to be this He-Man. Yeah, everyone says that. I like that.
Yeah.
But I like the creamy taste. But you can't say that. It just sounds wrong.
Especially in this situation, so sitting so closely.
Yeah, we are in the studio booth. I'm trying it out. I have no idea how it's going to sound at this point, if it even works at all. But
our knees are touching.
They're about, because you are crossed, but like kind of away.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of nearly, I don't know, 40 degrees akimbo. So I've got a cheat sheet, right?
All right, okay.
Of all the questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
So the first one, I just put random. Oh yeah, how's the band getting on?
Good.
Tell me about your band.
Got loads of... Okay, yeah, so I'm in a band called Tone Puppets. We've been together for about 10 years. And we're working on loads and loads of material. It's just hard getting it complete.
Yeah.
Getting it mixed and mastered, and 4 people in the band to please, and
yeah,
it's all good though.
I want to get there, right? So, earliest memories of music. So, when do you remember, first, being into music? There must be a point or something that you were listening to a lot.
I've got one memory where I was sitting in the back room listening to the stereo with headphones on, listening to a collection of CDs that my parents had bought. Dawn Penn, no.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Well, I still like that. Bo!
I remember just counting how many times she said no. I think it was 100 or something.
I think it's only beaten by 2 Unlimited.
Oh, no. I also did that with another song. You remember when the Box used to be on MTV?
God, yeah.
You remember that? There was I Love You Baby. I sat there with a pen and counted how many times he said I love you baby, because I thought it was just a cop-out of lyrics.
I've done something similar. Dogs, Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah?
There's a bit where he says, dragged down by the stone, and the word stone echoes. I think I counted like 60 stones.
What is it? Like, you do that when you're younger, don't you? I remember writing the lyrics for Blue Moon by the Marcells, that the whole intro, I can't remember it now. But why? Why do we do that? I don't understand. So, okay, so you're a kid, CDs, not vinyl?
Tapes, initially. In fact, that's probably one of my earliest memories actually of music is creating mixtapes of like dance music. I think it was Bonkers we were listening to, Sharky and Hixie.
Bonkers,
and I think I just loved the design of it, the little characters on the front. So we endlessly used the same collection of songs and put them in different orders and make new tapes.
Yeah, I see
or
that.
loop them forever.
Yeah, I think that's a bit lost nowadays. Like, I mean, I don't mind doing it on Spotify because you can have an endless playlist, which I kind of do every week.
Yeah.
But I love the kind of finite cassette where you got like 90 minutes or 60 minutes if you choose.
What I loved about that was being able to kind of, because you get a CD and it's got 12 tracks on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to making your own, there's something really special about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a friend of mine getting ill, so I made him a tape of all the guitar solos that I thought he'd like.
That's a cool idea.
It was just loads of snippets of Led Zeppelin and Floyd and stuff like that, and it kind of carried over into mini discs for me for that. I love being out. On my mini disc, I was able to loop a section of a track. I remember waiting in the airport for like 3 or 4 hours listening to A Perfect Circle, one of their tracks. There was a section in the track that was just so ballsy. I just listened to that on loop.
And you listened to that on a mini disc?
I was on a mini disc, yeah.
God, that's actually
late. Early 2000s.
I thought it was late for
it probably was. I think mine was given to me.
I never had a mini disc, but I always wanted one, mainly because that's how Radiohead kind of come up with the track listing for OK Computer. They were out and they kept moving it around. That's my that's the only thing I remember about mini disc, really. I couldn't really afford one.
They're brilliant. I've still got one there, actually, fully working one, with its little dock with these really naff speakers.
You can record on it as well, can't you? Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I'm sure I was in a band at one point and someone did that, and it was good to take home.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So,
from that point when you were a kid and you were listening to that, what next? Was anything else?
Well, there was a couple of other clangers in there, mate. Dawn Penn wasn't the end of it.
And that's it, isn't it? Dawn Penn, and that's
Bye. No, there was a couple of other singles. Parklife was in there.
Wow.
I remember loving Tracy Jacks. I wasn't really into bands or anything like that.
Yeah.
This has got to be early 92, 93, something like that. Bjork debut was in there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Quality songs on there.
How old are you now?
I'm 35 on Sunday.
Because you're kind of talking about like the same kind of era. Because I'm like 36,
I think you were probably listening to it a lot. You were probably into music a lot earlier than me.
But I was into a lot of, like, I say rubbish, but it's the stuff that kind of stayed me here. So I never really see the
Manic
music.
Street Preachers and that.
Manic, but like the early
rubbish.
Stuff. I was into like Roxette, which I'm still into. Like Roxette's one of my favourite bands of all time. Swedish pop band. He famously did It Must Have Been Love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I admit all of that stuff.
Smoochy.
Yeah, it's very smoochy.
I probably hated it back then, but a lot of the stuff I find now, I really enjoyed the cheese of it. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of, it was very emotional music for me as a kid. I was lying in bed listening to It Must Have Been Love and all that. It's not just that track. There are more tracks than that, but that's the one people will catch on and go, oh, Must Have Been Love, what? But there's a load of other tracks. They were good songwriters in the same way kind of like ABBA come from like Sweden were. So, okay,
awesome,
what?
And lastly, I remember, quite embarrassing actually, singing on the top of my lungs, that Christmas song by E17, Stay Another Day.
Stay Another Day.
Stay Another. I remember singing, looking up, eyes closed, looking up in the heat of it and seeing my mum and dad just stood there like, what are you doing?
Famously like a Christmas song because they had bells.
Bells, and big coats on.
Big coats.
Yeah.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
But yeah, memories of it. That's probably my earliest one. That's probably one of my earliest memories. Is that moment there that stands out.
Yeah. So at this point, you hadn't picked up the guitar.
No,
good.
No.
I want to see how you got there.
Okay, yeah. So I had a friend, Rolly. Everyone knows a Rolly.
Yeah. I don't. Roland Rat came to mind.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, his brother loaned me 2 albums, and that was Help and Rubber Soul.
Wow.
And the kind of, they're pretty much the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
Same with Rubber Soul and Revolver. You can see the progression between them albums, the subtle differences.
Yeah.
and they always stick with me.
Yeah.
That got me into guitar music.
Yeah.
And then I was quite lucky actually. There was probably about 5 mates all learning how to play guitar at the same time.
Yeah.
And I always was aware that my dad played guitar, but never really thought about it much.
Yeah.
And once he
Yeah.
got onto the fact that my mates were playing guitar, you know, he got hold of a guitar for me, which I've still got.
So was he always playing guitar at home?
Never. I mean,
Wow.
I knew he played guitar because
Yeah.
there's pictures of him in punk bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But never really thought about it. I just hadn't clicked.
Yeah.
And I remember being out in a pub and he bumped into an old mate of his and he gave him the guitar that they all played on when they were a similar age.
Wow.
So I've got that now. It's a lovely old, really 70s brown acoustic guitar on Eco. It's lovely. It's got the 0 fret on it.
Wow.
Which you don't see that often. But yeah, I remember him bringing that home, and I had all my mates around. Mine was like a hub. I had all my mates who'd come to mine,
Yeah.
and we'd all sit off and
Yeah.
listen to music
One
and
of
stuff
those,
like
yeah.
that. And I remember him bringing that guitar home in a bin bag, taking it out. I was like, oh, you know, and he started playing like
And you
Smoke
never
on the
even
Water.
played a chord or anything at this point?
No, absolutely
Wow.
not. I hadn't even held a guitar.
Yeah.
And I just had the cheesiest grin on it. It was really proud,
The
but like
coolest
trying to
thing.
hold back
Coolest thing,
the
yeah.
pride, you know, like
Yeah.
that. And everyone was like, oh,
Yeah.
because everyone wanted to learn. So
Yeah.
people would come to ours, we'd all learn on that guitar.
Wow.
My dad would teach us things. I remember the Oasis doing an unplugged
Yeah.
show. And it was, I think,
It's just Noel. Wasn't
Noel,
it?
yeah, just Noel. And we loved that.
Yeah, I
and my
thought
dad just came home and
it's
went,
amazing.
oh, he's playing this. And played She's Electric for us. And we were like,
What?
you know, it was
Yeah.
like ammo. This was back in the day where tabs were massive.
Yep.
So I'd like
Olga, do you remember that online guitar
God, yeah.
archive?
Oh, Harmony Central.
Yeah,
is it?
Harmony Central.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Oh, I didn't even know if that's still going.
How's that still in my
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were one of the few people who had a PC and internet at the time.
Yeah.
And I used to print off, unashamedly, I'd print off
Me too.
tabs and
Yeah.
sell them to my mates for 50p a tab.
I didn't do that. Tell
But yeah, I had
tabs.
this big catalogue of tabs,
my
like, you know.
word. Oh my word.
Yeah, and, oh, get us a tab there, Pete, get us a tab.
I have been known to go to the library and photocopy like a music book. That's someone that let me. I remember
good
like
idea.
I can't remember which one, probably one of the Oasis books or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just sit there all like, for about an hour, just photocopying every page. At the end of it, it's like £2, but it was,
Tabs, though, I don't know if it's me, but I'd always get to a point where that's wrong, that's
Yeah.
fucking wrong. And then you go, oh no, actually,
tell
I'm
you
playing
what-
it upside down.
where I was with tabs is that I didn't know how to read it. So you know, before I could play chords, I wasn't told how to play chords or anything. No one was teaching me.
Yeah.
So I got the tab book and I saw all the numbers and I thought, this is how you do it. So I was picking all the notes. And then someone told me, do you know those things at the top there, the chords you play? And I was like, oh, really? And then suddenly it felt like I could play everything. It was just like, oh, is that easy?
Just that little bit of knowledge.
That little tiny bit of knowledge. I didn't have really, did you get taught or anything?
Well, that's it. My dad was my tutor to start with.
Oh,
and the best thing he
that's
ever
so
did
good.
for me, which
Yeah.
sort of triggered my interest into the theory side of things, was he used the marker and he put the names of, he put F, G,
Oh.
A, B, and I was like, why is that?
Wow.
Why are they there? And then I started noticing that these notes would repeat themselves and
Yeah.
appear in other places, and start remembering the shapes. But I remember the first tune I figured out. How rude.
I know, sorry, someone's emailed me.
One of the first tunes I ever figured out was Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
And it was around the time that I think there was a Budweiser advert with a snake, a
Oh,
sidewinder.
right, yeah, okay.
And I
That sounds
remember
familiar.
sitting in my room and figuring the first 3 notes of that. I was
Yeah.
like, Dad, look at this, look
Yeah.
at this. And then he showed me the full bit, like.
You felt cool when you know that. Was that the first cool riff you ever learnt?
Yeah.
Because mine was Sweet Child of Mine. And once I played it, I could not stop playing
Really?
it. But
I was never really into Guns
Oh.
N' Roses, but
What?
yeah, I know. I had mates who was into it, like.
Yeah. I
but
feel like it's one of those bands that if you didn't like when you were younger, when you were kind of impressionable,
to get into
You
now.
can get into it now, especially when
yeah,
everything's
it's
on
like
PC.
it's like people who haven't seen Labyrinth and you ask them
Yeah.
to watch it now and they go, "What are you watching?" Here?
Exactly, and like all the Goonies or something. They're not going to get it. It's like, you're a grown man. Why would you get this film? It's like, what's going wrong? Call social services. You know, that's the thing. When, I always say, like I said on this last podcast, when you get older, all you can say now is, as you get older, you know, that's just
Absolutely,
happens.
yeah.
So,
When I was a lad,
yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you from then to like say, you know what, I want to play with other people. I want to be in a band.
pretty soon actually. Like I say, there was about 4 or 5 of us learning at the same time.
Yeah.
And there was one lad who was particularly good. I remember him playing. He was banging to Oasis.
Yeah.
So we essentially we're an Oasis cover band.
Yeah.
It was really simple. I played bass
Wasn't
because
everyone?
I was kind of the least.
You were
sort of
totally the same
proficient.
era as me because I got into music guitar music because of Oasis. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Well, that's it. They were the perfect sort of launch pad to learn how to
we
play.
needed,
Simple chords,
Yeah.
strumming. That's how I teach someone to play now. Nursery rhymes, then chords, strumming chords.
Yeah.
So we got a band together in school, and it was this lad kind of leading it. And I remember him playing "Love Is the Law." "Love Is the Law."
Oh yes,
all of that,
Seahorses.
all the the extended sort of outro with the solo and
Oh yeah.
What's the big solo-y type Oasis one? "Live Forever."
Oh yeah.
I remember him playing that immaculate, and this is like 14-year-olds.
Solo.
You know? Yeah.
I remember that the bit where he goes really high and then descends.
Yeah.
I remember that being really hard.
It's yeah, I always find like it's strange. He played it well. He played it just as it sounded.
Yeah.
I always remember people trying to learn how to play the wall solo, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone do it.
No.
Like that that intro bit. I don't think I've ever heard anyone other than Dave Gilmour play it like that.
Yeah, properly.
It's like no one plays it properly. Yeah. But yeah, he was really skilled, so he kind of fronted that and led that. And my other mate, he's boss at everything. He just he was doing the rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a really good music teacher. None of us did like music as a GCSE, but we all got to use the room after hours. And I remember recording onto tape and stuff. And we had the cock of the school was the singer for us. Dead hard lad. Yeah, he had a really gritty sort of voice. He sounded a bit like what's his name, Richie Ashcroft.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
That was kind of they're my fond early memories. But yeah, other than that, the big group of lads all sitting there together, bunch of tabs, all trying to learn and jam songs, you know.
Sorry. At that point, when you're just playing around with your mates, where did you think? At what point did you kind of think, okay, I need to move on and like start writing my own stuff?
That took a while, I think. I left school, started an apprenticeship in carpentry and joinery. Didn't enjoy that.
Why did you do that? Was there a reason, or did you think that was
comes
a good idea?
that time in school, like you know,
you kind of fell into it.
Yeah,
We all do that.
Everyone does this, so okay. But I had a friend of mine who started a music course. So after a year on the apprenticeship, I jibbed that off. And jumped on this course with him, which was with about 8 pensioners in a church in Littleland. Me and my mate, like 16-year-olds, you know, with this group of pensioners all learning chords. But that led us to get on to the next course, which was a BTEC in popular music, and that was kind of where it all started. I always wanted to do the Zeppelin-y, Jimmy Page-y, David Gilmour solo-y stuff, and I wasn't really good at it.
Had you left all the kind of Beatles stuff behind at this point? Did you see that as like, oh, that was kind of adolescent music for yourself?
I think that got me into it. It's always stayed with me.
Yeah.
But I guess once I went to college and learned more about music and stuff, and even now I go back and listen to it and find stuff in there.
I'm
still amazed by it.
I went back and watched the Beatles anthology recently, because I was more kind of like interested in why it hasn't come back out as a kind of a special Blu-ray release or something. And I think the transfers you probably haven't got like a 4K version or something, a HD version you can kind of mess around with. But also there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't think they'll want to bring back out in the open. Really? There's parts where they're talking about John be on stage, joking about disabled people and all that stuff. And I think, nowadays I don't think they can, because the Beatles have become a massive brand, bigger than ever. Yeah. And I don't think they want that kind of thing to taint it.
Definitely not. Well, this is partly why they haven't released the Let It Be.
Oh yeah,
movie, isn't it?
Why haven't they? But every fan
wants
shows
them in a totally different light. You know what? Yeah. I kind of felt sorry for Paul McCartney watching that.
Yeah, I can empathise with Paul.
He's so passionate about it.
Forward.
He's so passionate about it.
And all the rest just look really bored. And the whole George saying, I'll just play what you want me to. You know what? Just take a break.
Well, isn't that from them sessions?
Yeah, those exact sessions.
Well, there's a bit where he's talking on, I've got a feeling.
Yeah.
There's a bend in it. It goes, no. There's a part where Paul's saying to George, do it like this. You've got to get the bend like this. And George is like, I don't care.
I mean, I kind of get it to a point. Like, there's ego, isn't it? Like we always say, leave your ego at the door, and because you don't want anything to stop you kind of like going forward and experimenting and creating. But there are days where you'll feel like someone's on at you, or you don't feel as good, or we're just human. And I suppose
it's hard not to take offence to it, you know. I mean, I know with coming up with vocal parts for the band, you know, it's if no one comments on it, it's like, oh well, that's probably not good then.
Yeah, I've done that.
But it's such a hard thing to critique, isn't it? You know, it's so personal, especially
you have
your voice.
to at some point just go, well, I can't speak for that because I don't sing, and every time I do try and sing, I just feel like so like insecure about it because you know I've never really tried. But I know when we're doing parts and no one says anything, I've got it in my head saying, you know what, just do it. If this feels right to me, do it.
Yeah.
You know, we put a track out recently that we wouldn't have put out years ago, and it was like a very minimalist thing where it was just like me bellowing down a microphone through some pedals, where Barry playing some chords. And for me, that was like the best thing we've done in years because there was no structure to it. There was no kind of plan. There was no like, what's the concept for this? It was just like, we did it in one session, and I love it for that.
Yeah,
There's beauty in the moment.
It's definitely cathartic to do that. Like, you can get bogged down and doing
decisions,
blocks.
Not every track needs a boardroom meeting.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. But on that, on a point of that anthology, I was thinking about that the other day actually because I saw your post.
Yeah.
And there's a story they've got in there where they talk about getting on the bus and going down to Walton to find out the B7 chord.
Oh yeah.
And I got onto it years later, but we had a similar experience. We went to Mick the Barber's on Knowsley Road to find the B7 chord for Stand By Me in Oasis.
Oh, by Oasis?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, whoa. Totally, I'd never seen that chord, you know.
Do you know, weirdly enough, when you used to play that song with people, they were never impressed by any of the song apart from the intro. Just go, doom, doom. And that was it. That was it. All you get a smile on the face. But the rest of the song, anyone can play their own. You know? So is this where you met Mick at that point? Like, were you at that point in the story?
In college, I met quite a few of them. I'm the lad I'm in the band with now, Mark. I met him in Knowsley Community College.
You met him there as well?
Yeah, quite a few bunch there that we met up there. Like, and that's when I shouldn't really say this, but I stole a video from their library, and it was this guy called Phil Keegi, and he was into fingerpicking, and he was just incredible.
Amazing.
And that kind of made me think, you know, I don't want to do this solo-y type show-offy stuff. You know, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
So that's when I started experimenting with like acoustic stuff, like open tunings and things like that. I love that.
And that's what you kind of like, from my point of view, you're known for. You know, when I think of you with
acoustic guitar and
crazy guitar tuning, or the guitar right up here, and like playing some amazing like picking style tune. Yeah. And like you still do that as well, don't you? Do you still do that? Did you do that in the band now, or is that more of a solo thing?
That takes more of a backseat, that stuff, because there's 4 people in the band, and
But couldn't one of those tracks feature on?
Definitely.
Like,
I mean, the track we're working on now, getting mixed. I think it's got a bit of a Led Zepp 3 sort of acoustic vibe.
Yeah,
you know?
which I like.
So the acoustic features quite a bit in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to do more finger picking-y type stuff.
That's what I'm kind of interested in. I suppose the dynamics of a band. Like, if I wanted to do a track, which I've done before, just on myself, I'm fine with that, and Barry would be fine with that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been fine in Minion TV? Because everyone would be like, "Oh, what's he doing?" And it always reminds me of like the Beatles with Paul doing one of his songs that should have been a solo track, and they'd be like, "Oh, Opportunity Knocks from Mr. Paul McCartney." And like, if you came to the band and say, "I've got this acoustic track, and I just want this one track and my vocal on it,"
I don't think it'd be a case of even having to explain it. You know, kind of the way I see it is, if it's strong, I kind of want to work on it with the band, but it takes a backseat because of that.
Yeah.
Because there's other stuff that, we record a lot of our practice sessions, and when I go through that, there's so many different ideas. So we've got a folder on the computer there of just loads of different jams that we need to work through. So it's like, we get one song done, it's like, right, has anyone got any ideas what do you want to work on next?
Yeah.
And it's hard picking it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's good. It's a good problem to have.
It is. There's loads of material there.
A lot of bands have writer's block, don't they? So okay, so you're in college. What's the next stage? What's the next milestone?
I took an interest in engineering.
Yeah.
So that was the next course I went on to in St Helens.
Yeah.
It was all focused around recording, which I really, really enjoyed, but nightmare getting work once I come to it.
Yeah.
Trying to get work in that field. So that's how I fell into testing games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made that connection with Mark early on then. And we started working together around 2006, just sketching essentially using
Yeah.
Cubase. That's what I love about Cubase. You know, I can just chuck ideas down and sit on them for however long, listen to them, ideas come, go back to them. And
It's the best. Yeah,
work on them, you
how
know.
great is that? I didn't really have any of that when I was younger. Didn't have a phone to record ideas. I'd be penning down ideas, and now it's just great. You can have an idea and on the way to work and just record it.
You know, it's no coincidence that I kind of went into the engineering side of things, because that's what my other fellow was into. I remember him getting us a 4-track one Christmas.
Oh,
All my presents once I got into like
That's it.
music were all focused around stuff my dad could use as well. You
pushing
know?
it. Was it a Fostex by any chance? I had one of them.
No, it was a Yamaha 4-track. I can't remember, but we basically converted the front room in the house to like it was a music room. You know, we just had everything plugged in, wires coming out everywhere.
That's brilliant.
And we'd have jams, and we must have tapes somewhere of me and my mates jamming.
You need to get them out there.
Gotta dig them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just boss because my alpha fellow was into it as well. You know, we could really share that. I remember getting the loot.
Yeah.
Going straight to the music section, and we'd be like scouting, going, "Oh, that looks good," and we go on a mission up to Blackburn or something and get an acoustic. You know.
Oh my god.
Really good times. I love doing that.
So, is this where the Tone Puppets formed, or because we went
So
that
that was
originally?
no. I mean, I was in a band with a lad I met in college. We didn't really have a name. We did a few gigs. It was mainly all of his songs that we worked on and put together, and did a few gigs. But he went back home, and that kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
And that's when me and Mark started working together. And it just took a while finding a bass guitar, a bass guitarist, and a drummer, and
you were
eventually
constantly writing. You were waiting. Yeah.
So I mean, that I was talking before about the backlog of jams we've got to work through with the band. We've got stuff that me and Mark were working on years and years ago. You know, it's all tasty little bits in there. You know, so we need to pluck them out and kind of fuse that with the stuff we're doing now.
Yeah.
It's hard not going back, and because we've all changed and we've all kind of developed together.
It's hard, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that first sort of album, if you like, that we did, it was largely me and Mark. Our ideas, drums and bass, they were all our ideas we put together. So once they joined the band, they kind of played what we had.
I also find, I don't know if you do the same, but I kind of rebel against your own music a little bit. In terms of writing, you might like what you've done because it documents where you've been, but you don't want to go back. You always try and do something different.
Absolutely.
I suppose that's why I like it when you get like older bands, like Pink Floyd, were able to kind of get better and better and better. Nowadays, you don't really see that
to
in
a point.
bands. Yeah, to a point. Yeah. Oh, the Vision Bell's all right. But anyway, so Tone Puppets. It was Tone Poets first. Wasn't
It was Tone Poets, yeah, but there was another band. I mean, that came from. I was listening to piano music quite a bit, and there was a pianist described as a tone poet. I thought that was a nice sort of a nice name, nice ring to it. And then there was another band from Manchester with the same name, and we had this logo and all this. We wanted to keep that, so we kind of shaped the name around that. So, yeah, lovely tale.
Yeah. So it was just the two of you in that band at that point.
Just
as
the
soon
two
as
of
you
us
got
at
the
that
name?
point.
Yeah.
So we got a drummer and a bass player around 2009. A couple
Yeah.
of months later, we did a few gigs. That drummer Steve was in the band with us probably for about 2-3 years.
This is around the time that we were starting. Yeah. We were gigging a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never really enjoyed the performance aspect of it. I love getting in the studio and playing with sounds, and I love that aspect of it, you know. I'm more into the spotlight being on me, you know.
I kind of like the performance part of it until it gets dull, until you start retreading the same things, like you're doing the same set, you know. Although
the same group of friends.
Yeah. Oh, the same group of friends, yeah, definitely, more so than anything.
That's the big aspect of it for me that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Relying on you to bring a crowd with you.
And some of it gets in the way as well. Like I remember, the worst gig, I'll admit, the worst gig we ever had was in Modo, the one by Berry Street, back of Berry Street. Well, someone said...
Oh, yeah, that's Mojo, isn't it? Yeah.
I can't remember who it was who put the gig on, but no one turned up. Literally, no one. And it was just Lindsay, you know, my wife, and Sean's sister in the crowd. And we turned into a completely different band because we thought, well, there's no one here. So we became Status Quo. So me and Justin were kind of back to back. Me and Justin just playing the songs. It was great because we could just do anything when you just lose your whole inhibitions. It was funny. The funniest thing is on soundcheck, I remember going out and we just done a song, and the guy who was going to take tickets that night went, "Is that your song?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he went, "That's absolutely amazing, mate. You're going to you know, everyone's gonna love it.
It's nice, man.
It's great,
makes
but one person.
Yeah, I know, but it's shit that no one turns up, but it's good. It's good that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good success rate, mate. There was one person there and he loved it.
He
so.
loved it. 100% success. Yeah. It's not like a politician.
We had a similar gig in Bad Format, I think it was doing.
Oh, right, yeah, I remember.
Where, like, you know, we were last on, and it was quite a busy place until, like, each band finished and everyone slowly left with the bands, you know.
Totally got to address at some point, because I think bands still do that.
I know. Well, we were guilty of trying to shift our gear out, and you know, I'm not really into crowds, but
I know it's a hard thing because you're a band and you want to play. You kind of want to play live and show songs and bring people in, but I was like that as well. I mean, I suppose you're supposed to kind of stay around and watch the other bands. But what happens if you don't like the other bands? You know, you still got to have taste, but then you've got to support. I don't know. It's a weird one.
It's a support thing, isn't it?
I always
help
did.
Each other out.
I always did. Some of the other band members didn't, so I won't name them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't always get off. It's just a lot of the time we had to get our gear back. And by the time, and we'd play towards the end of the night most of the times, you know. Because a lot of our gigs were in the Zanzibar, which was set up by Colin, the bass player. So he put us on sort of last or second to last, you know, hopefully thinking that it'd hot up quite a bit. And
I always like playing first. And
get it out the way.
You get over out of the way, and then you can enjoy the night. Playing last was just like you're getting hot, you're getting tired. The rest of your band members are getting drunk.
The anticipation of it was I never really enjoyed.
No,
I couldn't really relax until I'd done my set, you know. And then I just had this weight of like just feel the weight come off, you know. It's like
So that brings you to here now, and you got your own studio, and you've been recording for a couple of years now,
which is a blessing and a curse.
You put a single out. What was it, last year or the year before?
We put a single out in April last year, I think. Definitely April. Cause
it was a good. I actually listened to it again the other day because I hadn't listened to it for since you put it out because I forgot. But it's a really good song now.
Cheers, man.
Like it's quite long as well, isn't it?
It's a bit epic.
Yeah.
It's got like a 2-minute intro.
Yeah.
With a bit of sound effects like a plane going overhead and stuff like that.
Like Roger Waters.
Yeah, it is. I think. Yeah. I mean, we commented on that while we were doing it. It wasn't intentional, but it's got a bit of a Animals vibe to it. I don't know how that happened, but it's got a bit of an Animals vibe to it in some way. That was the last single we did, and we've got so much more we want to release. It's just so slow getting
Have you
done.
got stuff like just that's almost ready?
Yeah, there's one, like I said before, mate, there's one track being mixed as we speak, hopefully.
And are you going to put it out as soon as you get it back and it's fine?
Yeah. Definitely. Got another one there. We took a leaf out of your book, actually. We've got a couple of speeches over a couple of our tracks. Because we were a bit short on lyrics. Yeah. So we give that a go, and it actually works, you know.
It works, yeah.
So, we're hopefully going to get that out as soon as possible.
Yeah, so you've got to start putting stuff out on social networks.
Totally. We've been way too lax with that.
See you.
That's what I was trying to say before, actually, mate. Having your own studio it's good, but it's also got its cons. Like because we've got it, we can afford to take as long as we want. Yeah. But that zaps your energy for it, so we need to kind of pick up the pace a bit more. And
could you get I think you should get at least one picture or something a day or every time you're in a session. Just of what you're doing. If it was just a selfie of you guys, and that's what I try and do every time everyone's in. And we've got this thing now where I want our studio selfie every Wednesday to get progressively stupider. Yeah. So we take it normal, and then we get a bit crazy. It was in the lift, and so at some point, one's going to be in a handstand or something like that. We've got to try and make it crazier each time, and it just adds, a bit more.
For use, I'll do that.
A bit more, so you got to do it every week.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I want to move on to 3 albums that are musical milestones in your life, that if you took them away, you wouldn't be who you are today. Absolutely,
yeah. Okay, it's hard. I mentioned Help and Rub Soul. Yeah. Kind of getting me onto guitar music.
You can't have both.
I know.
Even George Harrison kind of says, he doesn't remember doing both. You talk him to
quick point on that. I remember seeing him listening back to some of the Abbey Road tapes with Paul McCartney, and he went, "Did you do that bit? Is that me?" He doesn't know what he played on. So, Rubber Soul's my favourite Beatles album. Yeah. But I'll have to go with Help because that was the first one that I listened to and actually hammered. Nice. So that was the start of it all. Second album would be Morning Glory.
Really?
Because that's a really fond memory for me of a big group of all my mates, all sitting off, bucket tabs, learning those songs. That was the big, that kind of got me going.
Yeah.
Yeah, set me on the journey. And the third album will be Animals, Pink Floyd.
Wow.
I've listened to it so much.
So do you like that more than... I'll say this, by the way, because talking about Pink Floyd, The Wall, I was never into The Wall.
I know, I remember.
I was into, like, Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here, like, all the, the things that everyone's into.
Yeah.
The Wall, I just was never into until you kept going on about it. and then when I was working with you and Sony, I did one of those days where I'm just going to listen to an album I never give a proper chance to. And for some reason, it just absolutely clicked. I think it was just that environment. And it's just, in the context of where you were.
What we were saying before about, people say, oh, listen to this. And you go, oh, you don't really listen to it. But
in your head, you go, I need to listen to this. But I need the right environment and then the right context. And working there, kind of give me it. As soon as you got to the trial and everything, it was just, oh my God.
I love The Wall. It's just so angsty. It's not like, you can't, it's not something you put on to cheer yourself up or just chill out to.
It's one of the albums I get out to when I'm writing music or something, because I go, right, I love the concept of it, and it inspires me in that way of like so much work and that way into it.
Absolutely, mate. Well, I love the concept of Animals as well. It's very George Orwell.
Yeah.
It's just as a package, it's just so listenable. The sound of the album is just incredible.
Was that mostly Roger Waters at that point then?
I think it was, mate. Yeah. I think he was definitely the concept guy, and I think he came with the chord progressions and the basics of the song, and the rest kind of fluffed it out. And
I need to listen to that more.
Yeah, I know it, but I was listening to a demo version of Animals recently, and that's interesting. Check that out if you can.
Okay.
But they had them songs. They had them songs before they even recorded Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh,
it's raving and drooling as sheep.
Was that because I know he came to the band and said, "Hey, I've got this or this. Which one?"
That was later. That I think that was The Wall or The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking.
Oh, which is his own
album.
Yeah. Which is a good album as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely brilliant. The drums on it are incredible. It's the only time I got shivers off Eric Clapton was listening to some of that. I was never really big into
his solo on "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." It's stunning.
It's not a shiver inducer.
Oh, I love Eric Clapton. That's another story. Are you going to see Roger Waters this year? I tried to. Tickets sold out so quickly.
I don't know. I love his new album.
Yeah, I do. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Incredible. Yeah. And I love is it Godric?
Nigel Godric, yeah.
Godric, I love what he's done to it, because apparently he kind of convinced him to put all those little Floyd knobs in knobs.
Yeah.
Floyd knobs.
Yeah.
Floyd nods.
Yeah.
With all the...
There's a bit of Bowie in there. There's a bit of Radiohead in it. It's awesome. The lyrics are great, really scathing, aren't they?
And that mention to that Black Star, that's quality.
Oh yeah, such a fantastic album. That's the thing I kind of wanted to quickly get in, is like a lot of older artists, legacy artists as I call them, normally get content with just doing a kind of a greatest hits tour. Yeah. But then you have David Bowie at the end of his life bringing out Black Star. You've got Roger Waters with that album, and David Byrne from Talking Heads has brought out an album called American Utopia. It's really
a band
good.
I've never listened to.
Really good. Yeah. It's, I was saying to Simon about this on the last podcast. I only know one album by Talking Heads because that's all. I felt that's all I needed to know, because I love that album so much. You would love it. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Guitarist, I love Adrian Bellew, is it? He played for the later King Crimson. He's quality, but he's played with everyone, mate. He's played on Bowie's records, Frank Zappa, Paul Simon. He's an incredible guitarist. But yeah, I forgot the point I was going to make with him there.
But it doesn't matter.
Oh, sorry, he played with Talking Heads.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, I want to end the podcast with some DIY advice you give for a kind of band starting out. Maybe there's a kid who's in his bedroom now and he doesn't know what he should be doing to kind of get out there. Anything or a little secret you've got that you might help other musicians that they might not be thinking about? Is it anything? Even if it was about like a tip about like learning scales or anything or any...
I'd say jam with as many different people as you can. Network with as many people as you can. I talked earlier before about using like a sequencer. Get an interface and a computer and a microphone and just sketch out all your ideas in a sequencer. Play about with it. Gives you the opportunity to kind of see what works, what doesn't. Notepads as well on your phone or an actual piece of paper.
I do both.
Jot everything down.
I'm obsessed with notepads. Anything I've got can have ideas. That's a brilliant bit of advice.
Yeah, that's that. I do that a lot. I mean, big thing for me was playing with guitar tunings because because I didn't really know where I was placing my fingers in this tuning. I just do stuff. I didn't have to think about what I didn't go. Oh, I've got to play a G chord here. You know, I didn't think about that. I just plonked my fingers somewhere. That sounds good. Adjust the finger, find another chord, and I get a whole song from that.
I kind of feel guilty that I've never learned to read music, and now and again I go back into it, going, I'm going to learn to read.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea. I like the idea of accidentally finding what I like.
Yeah.
By just touch.
Well, I think you'd still get that.
Yeah.
I just think if you've got that. I mean, I only know a minuscule amount of it, and it really. I love that of it. I'm always searching YouTube videos for different things on music theory.
I'm not saying, but I'm kind of lazy with it. I'll subscribe and go, oh, I've subscribed and feel good about it, and then never watch them.
Well, I want to know more about that. I've got this thirst for knowing that. And I think if you know that, it'll just help you get to your end goal quicker.
Because the argument of some people, I know like Tom York doesn't read music, and Johnny Greenwood, the guitarist from Radiohead, was saying he doesn't want him to, because as soon as he knows how to do it, he'll lose some of the sparkle he's got.
And I don't think that.
I agree. I think you'll get to the next level.
The essence of him would still come out. Because
he's had to learn how to play the guitar. It's like, would you take that away? You know, I think you'd learn more, and then you get onto the next level of accidentally falling into something else.
Definitely, and it's not like you hit some ceiling of learning and that's it, you've learned it all. You keep learning things.
And a lot of musicians do that, don't they? But it's great that we've got that first. Anyway, thank you for being on my second podcast. Hopefully this has worked and you guys can hear it. Otherwise, I don't know why I've just made that statement. But hopefully tune into the next one. I have no idea who it's going to be or when it's going to be, but thanks for listening.
It might be me again.
It probably will be Pete again. Thank you. Bye.